Welcome to Excel Campus. My name is Mana, and this is the first in a series of videos about pivot tables. So, I want to introduce you to my friend Andy. Andy is new on the job, and he has been asked by his boss to create some reports and ultimately a dashboard for an upcoming presentation. All Andy was given is this giant sheet of data and a list of reports that his boss needs. Although he's excited about the challenge, Andy's wondering how is he going to turn this data into a nice looking dashboard. Of course, he wants to save the day and become the superhero of the office. So what Andy really needs is to learn how to use pivot tables. In this video series, I'm going to show you how we're going to solve Andy's problem. We're going to take this sheet of data and turn it into a nice looking interactive dashboard using pivot tables and pivot charts. We're going to build each of these reports using pivot tables and then bring it all together to create the dashboard. And don't worry if you think this looks complicated. Pivot tables are very easy to use and don't require any complex formulas or VBA macros, just simple drag and drop. Throughout this video series, I'm also going to be showing you an ad I developed called Pivot Pal. Pivot Pal makes it easier to work with some aspects of pivot tables and will show you a lot of time. But you don't need to have Pivot Pal to create these pivot tables and dashboards. Everything you need is already built into Excel. Alright, so in this first video, we're going to cover the basics of building a pivot table. I'm going to show you how to create this pivot table here, that's a summary revenue by sales rep, and also this pivot chart over here, which just displays that information visually. So we know that Andy has hit this set of data to work with. This is really all he's been given, and this is what we're going to use as our source data. And before you start building a pivot table, it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with source data, especially if you haven't seen it before. So this data was exported from our general ledger software, and basically it contains order details from December. So each row in the data here contains information for specific order. So you can see we have the order date, some customer information here, the salesperson, region. We got some shipping information as I scroll over. And we also have some product information and then some information about the price of the product, the revenue quantity, and all that stuff. So it's good information. The other thing you want to do is make sure that your data is in a tabular format. And that just means that you have a row of header here at the top of the data set, and each of these headers describes the column of data below. And I provide a checklist so you can go over this in more detail. The other things you want to look out for is that you want to make sure there's no blank columns within your header row here, and no blank rows within your data set, especially if you have column of dates. You want to make sure there's no blank rows or cells in your date column. You also want to look out for merged cells. A lot of times when you're exporting data, the software will automatically merge some cells together, and you want to make sure you unmerge the data. And once you have cleaned the data set, and this data looks pretty good, we go to the Insert tab on the ribbon and then click the Pivot Table button. And that will bring up this Create Pivot Table window. And basically, it's asking us to select table or range. Now you can see that Excel automatically detected the range for me. And that's because I had a cell selected inside the pivot table. Inside the data set. Before I click to create the pivot table button, so as long as you do that, select a cell inside the range. Click this button and Excel will automatically detect the range for you. If it doesn't, you can just click this blue button over here and go and select your range. The next step is that we want to choose where we're going to put the pivot table in this case. We'll put it in a new worksheet. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And now you'll see this automatically added a new sheet to our workbook here and created this pivot table area. You'll also notice over on the right side that this pivot table fields list has appeared, and this is basically the window we're going to use to create the pivot table. So here's a list of all the fields in our data set here, and then down below is the areas that we can drag those fields into to create a pivot table report. So the first thing I'm going to do is find that salesperson field, and here it is here. I'm going to drag that into the rows area. So I'm going to left click and hold, drag it into the rows area of the pivot table and drop it there. And you'll notice now that in the pivot table, it says our sales rep in the rows area of the pivot table. So each row contains our sales rep name now. I want to add the revenue to this report as well so I can get a summary of revenue. So I'm going to find this revenue field here in the field list and then drag it into the values area of the pivot table.